Oh boy, here we go. Yeah. There was a great trilogy, and then along comes the bastard spawn of the fourth movie, made over a decade after the originals were made, with an aging star, an aging scriptwriter, an aging director, and a fan base that is just ready to tear the movie apart. So let's get it all out of the way in the beginning of the review, okay? Yes, aliens. Yes, refrigerator. Yes, Shia LaBeouf. And Jesus Christ, yes, Kung Fu monkeys. It's 16 years later. Indy is quite a bit older, but still doing his usual thing. This time he's up against some communists in the 50s who are after an artifact that he once found for the government, and is now in the same mysterious warehouse that held the Ark of the Covenant. Indy and his partner Mac are captured by the commies who want him to find the artifact for them, a highly magnetic sarcophagus that he found but never opened. He finds it and attempts to gain the upper hand, but his partner predictably is on the wrong side. The government is pissed at Indy because they think he's colluding with the commies, which is pretty laughable. I mean, when they asked him if he had any defiant last words, he awesomely proclaims, "I like Ike," and he loses his job over it. He then meets Mutt, this greaser asshole whose mother told him that Indy is the best man at finding all the crystal skulls, which apparently is what was in that sarcophagus. Okay, so a lot of ridiculous shit happens. Mutt is Indy's son via Marion from Raiders of the Lost Ark. The skull has all these crazy powers which are used to do things like part a sea of army ants. And oh yeah, the skull's origin is alien. It's still a religious artifact, just, from another planet. The movie has similar themes to Last Crusade. The Russians are single-minded and only think of the skulls as weapons to be used for power and knowledge, but it destroys them because of this. Indy gets close to his son and marries Marion, blah blah blah, the end. I could sit here like every other critic and point out all the ridiculous parts, like the infamous refrigerator scene. I always get into this argument with a friend of mine over this. He just keeps parroting the line, well, the lead in the fridge would have protected Indy from the radiation. And I tell him it would protect him from the radiation, but it would not protect him from the concussive blast or the heat. And that it makes no sense that every other thing caught in the blast radius was torn apart and obliterated. The fridge containing Indy was the one thing that just kind of got pushed away. But it falls on deaf ears. Hey Joe, I know you're listening to this. Fuck the damn radiation, he'd have been a baked turkey. Now, some critics like to point out that the first three movies had lots of unbelievable shit in them, like Nazis getting their faces melted off, a dude surviving his heart being removed, a knight waiting in a cavern for hundreds of years. Yes, these are fantastical films, and they're chock full of unreliable information and a loose sense of reality, so why is it that most people are willing to suspend disbelief for the first three movies, but not for Crystal Skull? Well, the original trilogy were all good movies. Even Temple of Doom, with all of its warts, is fun to watch. Crystal Skull starts out fun. I love the whole beginning part, despite the fridge scene, and Harrison Ford seems to embrace the older Indy easily and makes it believable. But then the movie just drags on, and it becomes less about a coherent plot and more about a bunch of scenes just strung together. To be quite blunt, it didn't hold my interest with any sort of fun adventure or grand mythology. The entire thing just felt flat and dull by the third act. I was just waiting for it to end. I didn't even care that there's aliens. I found it much more irritating that the alien creature at the end looks like shit. With all the great special effects, they couldn't make a decent-looking alien? Does this mean the movie is bad? Well, I'd call it average. It starts off great, and then it fizzles in every way. Even the special effects are significantly worse in the last part. And all the throwbacks to the first three movies just seem forced. It's like they're shoving it down your throats. Overall, though, it's a worse film than the first three, but not because of Indy hiding from a nuclear blast in a fridge, or because the movie had aliens in it. Hell, if done right, those things could have been awesome. The problem is the movie in general just didn't hold my interest. If you want people to suspend disbelief, you have to wow them with a great film, and this is not that film. That isn't to say that it's awful. It does have some great one-liners, and the acting is solid enough, so it gets away with a 5 out of a possible 10.